are you?
Good. Oh, that's
Happy
such a good
Friday.
song. Look at you. You're so studious.
Aren't you glad I'm the DJ?
I don't have any
See,
glasses.
I really am. Like, it really is my goal to be the DJ. And by the way, was there anyone not singing along or anyone not moving?
I was like
It's funny.
typing a million messages and just singing, jamming.
Yes. Great
Work
song.
on your
Uh,
fades. Yeah, we got to
oh,
fade.
Steve. I mean, yeah, you can never be good. I'm never going to look for Steve.
So
Uh,
abrupt. Oh, okay, Jason.
sorry, I promise you, in 2026, that's my one goal. That's my one goal. Happy Friday, everyone. Friday, February 27th. Um, Last Friday, I guess, of February.
Oh my gosh. It is
Duh.
a short month, but it went really fast. Holy cow.
Yeah, it did. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope everyone has stayed somewhat warm and safe during a crazy week of snow and weather in lots of parts of the country. We could ask how many inches people got,
I got,
um, this week. I heard everything from like 18 inches to 20 inches. I heard someone say 27 inches. Uh,
as a
Jess, we used to
metropolitan,
get, yes, I think you're going to say the same thing I was about to say.
I just kind of like I have empathy, but I kind of giggle when I see this in other parts of the country. I'm like, it's just another Tuesday in Minneapolis.
Yeah, like we used to get so much snow. Like Emily said, go Jags, which, our school, excuse me, from high school. And we used to get so much snow. Like we used to have snow days, not because it was
Totally.
cold, but because there was so much freaking snow.
I know.
The Northeast has kind of taken our role as like the snow capital, it seems.
Yep. Yeah, skiing is a bust. Although we've had a pretty wintry winter, I feel like my kids were happy with the level of winter we had. No?
Oh, it's gross.
Well, now it's gross. Yeah, we're in the
We haven't
weird.
gotten we haven't gotten much snow at all.
Yeah,
I mean, compared to look at someone there got 7 feet.
that's good. That's some good snow.
Yeah, like we couldn't ski in Minnesota. Like, I mean, people did ski on fake
Well,
snow. Yeah, what is snow? Exactly. So once again, happy Friday, everyone. Let's get started because we have a lot of stuff to cover today. And we've got two amazing guests as well. Two dose
ooh,
amazing guests as well. And by the way, here's a trivia question, Jess. If
yes.
someone called you an
An unk?
unk,
An
like
unk.
unk, unk, what would be your first reaction?
I don't think I would be flattered. Is that is it a drag? Is it like a square unk? What
Nicole
would
just
they?
nailed it. I, only
Oh,
I'm
who I'm slightly fond of. That's the important point of that.
Yes, because the only people that call me Unk, which seems to be a thing lately, I've been called Unk many times in the last couple weeks by some 15-year-olds. They're really nice people. Like I'm friends with them, but I'm doing Unk stuff. I get it's kind of yeah, it's a kinder version of a boomer.
Wow.
So I'm just for the record, I'm not calling you an Unk because I don't
Mhm.
think you're really Unky.
You
Unky. I wonder if that's a word.
unky. I don't know. You did
Yeah.
call me a succulent earlier.
Oh my
Meaning
God.
I don't need a lot of attention and watering over here.
Oh
In
my God.
fact,
Now I'm so
maybe I'm
embarrassed.
prickly. I don't know. Did
So,
I make you blush?
yes, in a big time. We were talking about plants in the green room. And
Burn.
we were talking about plants that needed a lot of attention. I was like, someone said that, I'm more of a succulent person. I was like, Jess is kind of a succulent person. Like, doesn't really need a lot of attention, doesn't really need a lot of watering, always looks good. Like, you're kind of a
I
suck.
am a
I mean,
succulent.
a succulent, not a suck. Oh my God. Oh my God. So green, yellow, red. How is everything?
How is everybody?
Well, I can't believe I just combined and succulent and created a suck.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh.
Scary, scary, scary. Okay.
Yes, hang in there. We've got you.
Green, yellow, red. How are you, Jess? Green, yellow, red. We've got
Oh,
yellow. Holy cow. I can't believe I just
oh my
said that.
gosh.
Uh,
Uh,
now
I'm,
I'm sure we're turning people red, basically, by this
I
whole
know.
freaking disaster of a start. And
I
our
know.
guests have probably left.
Oh, look at how green everybody is. I love that. Howard's yellow. I am green. I am green. Oh my God, my eyes are watering. I was laughing so hard. I'm green because Ainsley is having a green week, and I got to fight for those weeks, some weeks. Um, so I can't help but be green. It's good. It's a good week.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm really green too. Well, except my little kid, my 18-year-old has a little bit of a throat tonsil issue going on at the moment.
Yeah.
But we'll get that taken care of. But I think whenever your kids are sick, you kind of feel a little bit sick. Does that make
Mm,
sense? Or your kids or nieces or nephews, like you somehow embody it in a way. So yeah, anyway, I feel a little bit
yeah.
I feel a little bit like him. Um, but I want to move on. Yeah,
The funk.
the
Ugh.
funk. Yeah, exactly.
I
And
love
I'll,
that we already moved Laura to green, so we're winning.
well, yeah, and Laura is one freaking tough customer. So, the fact that Laura turned yellow to green that fast. Yeah. So
Not fun.
thank you guys for saying how you are. Rhonda, I'm glad to see you. Cindy, glad to see you again. Laura, it's been a while, I think. We don't do roll call here, but and some people just hide.
Yeah.
It's about time that Leah Tanner shows up. Nicole's here. Tilly's here. Nicole, awesome. Oh my gosh, hit his ear on the table. This Laurel's husband
Yikes.
fell. 7 stitches. Wow. Yeah.
Ouch.
Um, yeah. Um, cool. So Jess, one big thing. What's your one big thing this week? I mean, you said Ainsley, so that's why you were agreeing. Is she your one big thing, or do you have another big thing?
She is my one big thing, but I'll
By the
keep
way,
the.
our we can do one big thing or oh shit moment.
Okay, let's do that. Ainsley is my oldest daughter, and I mother the hell out of her most of the time. And so I'll keep that a little personal and private, but she's having a great week. She's like a different kid this week. Uh, and sometimes you just need that kind of win. So that is amazing. I would say for an oh shit moment, I hit the road next week, kind of nonstop for the next little while here. I've had a nice lull in business travel. A few of the well, first of all, I'm so excited to be with GE next week for International Women's Day. So happy early International Women's Day to everyone. And then the next couple of engagements after that are all risk related, like how human risk is shifting to enterprise risk and the
Do
new.
they know who they invited?
I know, and like the new shape of the enterprise. And so it's really interesting because I haven't had to, I mean, you know this, Jason. You can't reuse content more than once anymore. I had to rebuild so much content because everything keeps changing so fast. So I'm excited to take some new stuff out on the road and have fresh conversations about what the heck is happening. I guess you can call that my oh shit moment. It was fun putting it together, and it was also a little bit of a wow, like this deck that I just used a couple of months ago is sort of a moot point. Like we got to keep moving forward so fast. So that's a good, healthy oh shit moment. Can't sit on your laurels too long.
Nicole's thing that she just wrote. Sorry, Jess, that's awesome. By the way,
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't mean to that's I
No,
know,
no.
and you and I will get to see each other on a few of those stops, I think.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool. Um, I love what Nicole just wrote. And it's not like what she just wrote is not like that cool of a thing. And it's not going to change the world. But I
Yeah.
love what she said. I set up Quad Code, and after putting it to work on my content repository, decided to have scan all 6 of my personal emails and evidence of any subscriptions. Ended up saving over $800 so far in things I didn't even realize I was paying for. Now we
She
could have
calls that
all
ADHD tax. I love
yeah,
that.
we could have all kinds of comments on this, like, "Ooh,
Yeah.
didn't even know you're paying for it." But I love I was just on a call right before this, which is why I'm always coming in here so hot. There's a standing call where I'm trying to talk about FAFO. Um, Everyone knows FAFO.
Hmm.
Uh, Fool around and find out.
Kept our
Um,
rating.
Kept our rating good. Yes. So, it's cool to see Nicole fooling around and finding out, which is awesome. And Nicole, there's actually a subscription. You could actually sell that, by the way, because
Totally.
I have a mother who's 83 that just bought a subscription to do that.
Wow.
So, yeah, crazy, 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 crazy stuff. Anyway, my one big thing, just really quickly, is that I'm in Charleston, South Carolina, which is where I'm on our Friday afternoons if I don't catch the 5 a.m. flight out of here because have class on Thursday evenings. And we had such a, I literally got back to my hotel room last night and cried. And I
Mm.
feel like in this community, I can share my crying. I went, we're 8 weeks in to our semester, and I went from a class, and Jess, you've been to the class. I went from a class where the people didn't really know each other when I
Mm.
started. They didn't talk to each other, didn't know each other. They were
Yeah.
afraid to share their vulnerabilities. They were afraid to say if they were a geek. They were afraid to say if they were straight, if they were gay, et cetera, et cetera. To taking them all to a restaurant called Bar Taco last night,
Mm.
downtown Charleston, and like this isn't part of the grade.
Right.
Like every single one of them showed up.
Oh my
Every
God.
single one of them showed up, even though one of them canceled their flight
To
because it's
stay.
spring break starts today to
Oh,
stay for this event. And we had the best time in the world. Um, like literally, we sat there for almost 4 hours just talking about stuff that had nothing to do with school, but life. And like there were people talking to each other that have never talked to each other.
that's
So
amazing.
just to build a community of like 20 some people who are now really motivated for the next step of their lives. Like, sorry to get a bit emotional, but it's really rewarding to me.
That's amazing.
I'd love to hear some other one big things. Uh, oh, cool. Tilly, I created an agent to follow all of my favorite HR digital transformation thought leaders, and now it's my lens for everything. Awesome. You guys, I mean, it
Good.
is really, really cool when you start to, I mean, Tilly, I'd be curious. He's put in the chat. We don't have a ton of, I'm talking too much today, Jess. Sorry. We don't have a ton of time, but when you start to when you start to feel a sense of accomplishment in some of these things, it
Hmm.
feels really, really good to do things that you thought you'd need a coder to do sometime in your life. And all of a sudden, like, oh, what? I just did that myself.
Yeah.
Um, I talked to a doctor into not, or I talked a doctor into not rage quitting. Took a week, but she's so excited about
Oh,
work now. I love that. That's awesome. I found, oh my God.
ah, look at that. The radical leap.
Oh my goodness. I love Jessica that you called that out.
There's
Radical
probably
leap.
so much that is still uh,
Oh yeah. I mean, for
relevant.
those of you that don't know, it's not to say real quick, leap, love, energy, audacity, proof. Love,
Hmm.
energy, audacity, proof. It's why we named Leap Gen after that book,
Yeah.
Radical Leap, by a great friend of mine, Steve Barber. So excited that you said that.
Very.
Launching a pilot of our, holy cow, Imaginal. I hope I said that right. Dumb. On suck. Imaginal agility course to 50 PhD students in Middle Eastern countries. Like, well, there goes my. All of a sudden, I don't feel as good about what I did anymore. Brad, it's about learning human capabilities, imagination, caring, creativity, courage, curiosity in an AI world. I love that, Brad. That is awesome. And Jess, I want to say one more thing, and then let's bring on our first guest. While I'm saying this, I had a call with a great friend of Jess and I, and I'm not sure we've never had him on, but Pushkar
Hmm.
is
Oh
the
God, we need to have him on. Oh my
yeah
God. Yeah,
yeah he's the CEO of a company called People Matters, and if you don't follow People Matters, I highly recommend it from a content standpoint, a
totally.
community standpoint, et cetera, et cetera. And he and I had a long conversation this morning about privilege, and
Mm,
he's like, it's really interesting because when people are really privileged, and all of a sudden you start to see people reading stuff about doom,
mm,
the distance between where you are and doom is big.
mm,
He's like, it's really interesting in a lot of these Southeast Asia countries where they don't have a lot of money, or Latin America countries where they don't have a lot of money. And all of a sudden you're talking about here to here or here to here. He's like, it's such an amazing difference, the chasm. I hope I explained this. I hope what I just said made, does that make sense to you,
It,
Jess?
it does make
It's
sense.
that like a lot of us are like, oh my God, what if all jobs go away? And like that's a privileged country's take versus an underprivileged or developing country's take is, oh, isn't it cool? All jobs are changing, which means I have a new opportunity. And like
Wow.
that dude always just amazes me when I talk to him. But we spent an hour at 5 a.m. this morning, and it was the best reason for me not to take my early flight is to start to think about that.
That's amazing. I heard something similar but different. And it was something to the effect of people who say, there's no need to get political. Why do we bring politics into this? This doesn't need to be political, are probably very comfortable as is. And so, you think you don't need to get politics is a great lever. It's a great tool for change. And so if you don't feel like something should get political, you're probably pretty comfy as you are. I thought that was also an interesting perspective. Yeah, Love People Matters. They provide a ton of learning curriculum for people in the industry. So good one to check
I
out.
just I put a couple links in there as well. And the other thing I'll just say really quickly as we bring on our guest, JC's probably watering her succulent, so she's not bringing on our guest as fast as she should. But the as we bring on our guest, I got a ton of great comments on the Substack I did this week around the difference between a chatbot and what AI really is.
Mm,
And just I wanted to just explain it to this community because I feel like we're friends. The biggest reason I wrote that is because so many people have been saying to me, I don't see how AI is going to change jobs. I'm like, you're only using AI today as like Google. And
yeah.
Google itself, by just doing a search, all it is a fancier search if you're using
Mhm.
ChatGPT to do search. But really, when you start to play with agents and you start to say, wow, that really is doing my job plus five others, then you start to say, oh, I could see how this might, if we wanted to, very intentionally said, change jobs. Hello, Bob.
Yeah.
Hey guys, how's
How are
everybody?
you? Good to see you.
Likewise,
See you.
You look so freshly groomed
I
today.
groomed just for you guys.
I love it. Uh, Bob, there's a couple of interesting, well, there's always, I don't know that one week goes by that there aren't interesting, uh, Brad, wait, Bob is, we have another one too. I
Brad, you
stacked
should
up.
see how much Bob paid to be the guest. So, Brad, if you actually want to be the guest, you know, you have to pay Jess. I'm just teasing.
Yeah. Apparently, I'm happy to receive succulents as gifts. So interesting headlines. There's always interesting headlines. I thought it might be fun, Bob, to banter with you about a couple of them. First of all,
By the way, you
every,
guys, just so you know, sorry, one last thing, Jess. We do have another guest,
oh yeah,
Iona, joining as well. So, for those people that didn't join for Bob, don't think you joined the wrong show. Like
that's
when we advertised our guest, we have Bob is the special guest. He's like the warm up act to
Right.
Iona.
I literally texted Bob this morning and said, Bob, do we have an opinion on Anthropic versus Pete Hegseth? If that's not bait. But okay, so there's a couple of interesting headlines. Everybody's talking about the SaaS apocalypse. What is it? Does it matter? And why? That is one. We're just going to banter really quick on these. And then, is it interesting that Anthropic is standing up or was standing up or is taking a stand against the US government and its use of data for surveillance? I think it's wildly interesting for a number of reasons, but these are two headlines that are sort of meaningful in this whole AI era, where we're going with all of this stuff. Why do these headlines matter? Let's just do a super quick breakdown. I'm sure Iona has some thoughts too. But Bob, what say you?
Yeah, I mean, I think the SaaS apocalypse, whatever you want to call it, and just for people that haven't been following this, this is about the potential demise of software as a service with the ability to build vibe code, agents and agentic workflows and things like that. And why would someone pay these recurring license fees. If they could build something themselves, why would then venture capital and private equity invested in the companies and invest in founders to actually build those platforms? How is this all gonna shake out? I do agree we are all builders now, as people in the chat have already talked about. But I think there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more to building like an actual, industrial strength, enterprise grade, platform than just, vibe coding a bunch of things and connecting it with digital bubblegum and things like that. And so yes, you can build really powerful applications, but then to scale that to be in production for your company there's a whole bunch of other hurdles that need to be crossed. So it will eat into the SaaS market for sure, and it already has. But I think it's going to be a long time before some of those big platforms at least disappear. I think the niche vendors have more to worry about because AI is advancing so fast that you run the risk of really having no moat. Like, what is
Yeah.
your competitive advantage when, the next release of, Claude or ChatGPT or DeepSeek, whatever, it just seems like you're a week away from obsolescence or just being, carbon copied, right? There's already Chinese firms supposedly who have basically scraped Claude's brain and can now, unfortunately, recreate that. Unfortunately for Anthropic, and probably others. So it's a big deal from a market standpoint. And then Jason, did you want to say something before we switch to the other topic? Okay. So on the other topic, Anthropic versus it's generally cited as Anthropic versus the Pentagon. But yeah, Pete Hegseth being the primary, sort of antagonist for this situation. For those who know me, I've been preaching, responsible AI for a couple of years now, and this is exactly why I think this is such an important fight. You will note that it's not just so Anthropic is the one that's putting up the fight, but even Sam Altman has basically admitted that he stands with Anthropic in terms of not using their technology for unlawful purposes. The problem is that term lawful currently lacks meaning or teeth because we have, just to your point earlier, I'm trying not to get political, but unfortunately we have a federal government that doesn't necessarily think that they need to follow their own laws and respect people's privacy and their safety. And so this started with the fact that it was revealed that Claude was used in the raid in Venezuela. That particular use case does not fall under the two primary use cases that Anthropic was objecting to. So I was a little curious about that. It wasn't lethal and autonomous, a lethal and autonomous use case, and it wasn't mass surveillance of US citizens. It wasn't either of those things. So, but it created obviously an uproar, and it was because of the nature of how that information was passed. It went from Anthropic, got flagged by Anthropic, sent to their partner Palantir. Palantir sent it to the DoD, and Pete Hegseth blew his top. So the problem is without federal oversight, without federal guardrails, we don't know what the government intends to do. I mean, we're actually lucky that this is out in the open because of a bunch of leaks. Otherwise, this type of negotiation we'd be oblivious to this. So I'm really concerned. I'm proud of Dario Amodei from Anthropic for standing up to this. I'm surprised, pleasantly surprised that Sam Altman agrees with him because these guys are not friends, right? Dario used to work for Sam Altman at OpenAI before he started.
Well, that was sort of the thing. A bunch of people left OpenAI because they were concerned about their stance on privacy. And they went to Anthropic because that was going to be the safety first AI company. I think this matters a lot because this is what governance looks like. You're all going to do this to some degree in your organization. It's literally going to say, what can it be used for? For what outcomes? How are we going to manage and govern? This is literally governance as a public example playing out. We're literally watching this play out, and it's important to understand use cases and guardrails and auditability and traceability. Like, this is literally governance playing out in an open example we can all follow.
Yeah, I mean, just on a personal level, I mean, I was already moving all my custom GPTs to Claude because I'm going all in on Claude Code, Claude Cowork, which is now in Windows as of last week. Um, and so I just think it's better, and it's got all the pieces and parts that I want to take advantage of, connecting that to Gemini since I'm already using Google Workspace. And then there'll always be a couple other things that I need in my tech stack for publishing and for pushing out to a public website or whatever it is. But I think that some people big tech needs somebody in big tech needs to take a stand, and it seems like Anthropic is the one doing so. And so I am all for it, and somebody needs to push back against, the powers that be, which are only getting more powerful. And so I say this all the time. I've probably said it on this call before. We are all responsible for responsible AI, and that means being responsible by design, not just responsible use. We are all builders. Therefore, fundamentals of AI literacy means not scraping data that you shouldn't have access to. It means understanding the limitations and how it's reaching its conclusions and the explainability of these models. And yes, you can go in and play around with base 44 and Lovable and Replit and vibe code some stuff, but you should still understand what some of those guardrails should be, because the AIs themselves are not yet stopping you from doing some of those things. They're following your instruction, and then they're taking some liberties to say, can I execute this or not? They're not saying, you sure you want to do that? For most people, right? Within a education environment, Jason, you know this better than me, but I don't know when AI is taught and used within higher education or even K-12. I imagine there's a bunch of guardrails that have to be there, but people need to imagine the person with the most access to this country's data and secrets. Imagine an AI looking over their shoulder, watching exactly what they do and how they think. Imagine if you had an AI that had the access that Edward Snowden had, or, it's learning from what we do, from observation and from what you're typing, from what you're saying. This is scary stuff. So somebody has to take a stand, because otherwise I'm really concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well, thanks for weighing in. I think
yeah.
it's fascinating. I think it's important to pay attention and understand what it's all about and why it matters. And we need, to Svetlana's point earlier, we do need corporations to have an opinion, not just an opinion, but take a stand and define this for others to follow, because this is just the first foray. There will be many others.
Yeah, for sure.
Jason, I can't wait to listen to your podcast. That was a good tease.
Yeah, I'm excited. It was a great conversation. And if you don't know Heather, follow her. She does some amazing work. Did a lot of work on what the topic Bob talked about, but also talking about Gen Z. And she's the CEO of a company called H22, and H22 is all about how do we prepare for the 22nd generation, the 22nd century, excuse me. So, I hope you guys get a chance to listen to it.
I love it.
Bob, thank you for being here. I think that what's
Absolutely.
really going to be interesting is that we're going to have to think about how do we shift the conversation from like guardrails to growth rails almost. And growth rails includes the guardrails, because right now, too many people are seeing this as black and white. And the minute you hear governance, or the minute you hear regulation, they're like, well, let's just wait. And every day you wait, I worry.
Yeah, Jason, I mean, I think this gets to the responsible innovation kind of phrase, right? Like, you can do both at the same time. We went through this with privacy. We went through this with cybersecurity. This is another layer underneath the rest of your tech stack. It's just this bumpy road trying to get to that point, but you can do both at the same time. I am extremely confident in doing that.
I love it. Thank you,
Bob,
Bob.
you're welcome. Bob, you're welcome to stay on if you want.
Look at the 4 squares.
Depends on, I want to make sure Ioanna has plenty of time to talk about what she's working
Yeah,
on. Hey, Ioanna.
yeah. Well, Ioanna, good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see everyone. So nice to see you, Bob. It's been a while.
Likewise.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thanks for joining. And you
Strong
probably
glasses game.
I'd love you, Ioanna, to introduce yourself to the community. This is our Now of Work community. We've been going for 6 years now. We're approaching our 300th episode.
Wow.
And I think we met a couple of years ago at an event, and I finally have you on. So go ahead and say hi to everybody. Give us a little bit of your background.
Yes.
Amazing
First of
background.
all, I love the energy and how you opened up the Zoom. I was not ready for this. I jumped from a boring Zoom to this. I was like, yes, that's what I need. But hi, everyone. My name is Ioanna. I'm the founder and CEO of Dextego, an AI coaching platform for sales and leadership growth. So we are very much focused on power skills development. How do humans develop influence? How we use AI to truly become more human, which I know sounds ironic, but that's the type of business that interests me, human development. And to just touch a little bit upon the conversation, I don't want to get into the responsible AI because that's all Bob, and you should listen to him. He knows what he's talking about. But I want to highlight a little bit the representation and access issue, because being so close to the end users, like talking to companies every day, seeing how they're adopting AI, there is such a big gap. Like, we're hearing these headlines and we think, okay, the world is moving so fast. And on the one hand, it is because everybody has heard of these tools and can use them, yet how they use them and if they're actually leading to more efficiency is a whole other story. I spend a lot of time trying to educate Gen Z and young founders. I am a Gen Z myself. I'm 27. And I see that they really are struggling with even the simplest use cases. They haven't connected the dots on how to really impact their workflow, how to change their day-to-day. We're still in experimentation level for a big number of the population. And women are 20% less likely to actually play with these tools. And it's really sad, not to even mention what's happening on the founder level. Like, only 3% of VC money in the AI landscape is going to female founders. So I just want to also talk a little bit about that angle, and to conclude, like, my mission and who I am and what I've spent the last 10 years really working on is how we give access to personal development to all, no matter if they're junior or C-suite, because historically coaching, has been more for the C-suite. But if you don't develop even your intern, your, junior person, then you won't see the impact you want to see on your leadership. So that's my passion.
Oh, I love it. There's so many things I want to pick up and run with. It is true that some groups of people, women being one of them, use, like, and trust AI less. That's a whole can of worms we can get into, but thanks for calling that out and acknowledging that. I think we have to understand the unique barriers and obstacles. Like, we can't just peanut butter spread, as Jason says all the time. We can't just peanut butter spread an adoption push. It's not the same for everyone. The barriers that we have to overcome are different based on different groups of people. I think it's interesting what you say about Gen Z. We also make too many assumptions. We assume that young people are going to jump all over new tech. And that's not always true either. And so I love that you're distinguishing that it's different for everybody. And I could not agree more. We obsess over AI adoption. It's not really about users logging into tools. That's not going to get us to value. It's true literacy. There's a difference between understanding what these powerful tools can do for you and being imaginative about how to use them for problem solving and creativity and things differently. It's a different conversation than are you using AI? Almost everybody can say they're using AI these days. How do we overcome that chasm to getting value from these tools?
To me, it starts with personal development. The beauty of AI being accessible to all is that it allows us to develop on the things we want to develop. And that's the number one thing when it comes to learning. If you're not self-motivated, if you don't want to learn something, no matter if I bring you the best mentor on planet Earth, you will not learn it. It won't get sticky, right? So A is that the use for motivation and like career coaching and that self-development to me is huge with Gen Z and with anyone really. Especially when we're talking about also people 50 plus who might want a second career, right? Like to change. Like now they have an opportunity to catch up, learn whatever thing they have to learn, and get motivated to go and pursue it. That is number one, because AI gets to know you today more than you know yourself, right? Like it really can, it's amazing. I'll give you a use case. A friend of mine has developed this AI therapist tool with a bunch of experts. It's super legit. I said, okay, let me try it. And I found out a trick where if you ask it, based on everything I've searched so far, tell me what you have realized about myself that I still haven't realized from what I'm telling you with my reflection. And just the things it tells me, I'm like, whoa, I'm a little like taken back. Like, this is so accurate. So it's amazing that for the first time ever, the highest level of intelligence, which is actually self-awareness, metacognition, is accessible to all, no matter whether they went to a good school, if they even went to school, and what career they're in. That's where I would start. The fact that we can figure out who we are and what we want out of life will change the course of our career so much. And then by choosing that and focusing on using AI tools to learn and become an expert in your field, now we're up leveling the game in general. And that means also different forms of competition, right? So I think the beauty and the danger, because it's always a duality in this life, right? With AI is that the lazy people will become more lazy and the go-getters will become even more go-getters. That chasm is what companies like us is trying to figure out, like how you make your B players A, etc. It's very complex. I don't have all the answers, but I know it's a space worth exploring right now.
Yeah, one of the things I'm curious about, and as someone who gets to work with, I mean, I love how you said the lazy people will become more lazy, because in my class last night, weirdly, I had to have a 15-minute section on grit, like grit. And people are like, why are we talking about grit? Well, like, because 3 of the 8 teams did crap work. They still went out with me afterwards, which was good. But grit, thank you for being here, Nicole. But so when you think about that, and you think about where you are, so you're 27. I mean, you're Gen Z. You saw someone in the chat said, my kid viscerally hates AI.
No.
It's kind of funny. Do you actually viscerally hate AI, or do you viscerally hate how AI makes you feel? And I think there's a big difference in those two things. Like,
and
I
how
think,
it's being used.
and how we, Ioanna, I'm not saying your name right. I apologize. I can hardly pronounce my own name. But Jess said something last week about how the concept, we've been the worst at telling a story. Jess, I don't know.
Oh my God. Ioanna, I have said this several times and I'm going to keep saying it. This is the laziest storytelling I have ever seen. If AI, let's just put all of AI, roll it in one ball of wax. If this was a product pitch and you were showing me a commercial or you were pitching me on like, this is the greatest thing ever. This is the laziest storytelling I have ever seen. You're trying to sell me on a value exchange that makes no sense for me as a human. You get all my data. You get all my, forget privacy, security, protection. Protection? You mean you're never going to use my data irresponsibly? Like we have zero protect, and you get all the benefit. You're going to make me more highly efficient and productive as a human for your commercial gain. Like this is literally the worst value proposition I have ever heard. We can do better. Like it is
So that, so
powerful. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm
So where I
sorry.
was going
Yeah,
with,
I get
so
so
where
fired up again.
where yeah, last week you were sweating. Where I was
Yeah.
going with this was basically like, is this why Gen Z hates AI? Like, why do you think there's that visceral reaction?
I think there's a group of Gen Zers that have found in AI actually a safe space. And so this group of people is not well known. Like they won't go out and say, you know what, like thank God I had my ChatGPT to ask this question because I didn't feel safe going to my friend or my mom, or I don't have access to a mentor or whatever. But the people that are very vocal are the ones that hate it. That's why, again, you think that everybody hates it. And it sounds from some people's, experiences that's the case. I'll tell you, like, I see Gen Z actually use it a lot for their own research, but the way they use it, unfortunately, there's no critical thinking. It's like, okay, ChatGPT said that, that's right.
Yeah.
And then what happens if that's the case, and then they go and use whatever Chat told them, and then they face some pushback, they're like, oh, okay, that's BS, and then they don't trust it, and that's it. And then the feeling that stays is that anger and disbelief. So it's because of negative experiences like this, and then they stop. Because Gen Z has not really learned to seek so much, I would say, the truth. They just say, I don't care. I don't want it. I don't want to see it.
Fast answers. Yeah.
Yeah. Versus saying, okay, let me try to find the right prompt, analyze. Like I see anyone, I have like my Gen Z founder friends who, of course, is a different category, and like they know the tools and they search everything and they're geeks like me. And then I have others that are like, okay, I didn't get this answer. Yeah, no, moving on Netflix, or let's go out. So it's just a different, I would say, experience. That's why they hate it. And unfortunately, when it comes to younger Gen Zs, what happens is if one friend has one opinion, the other will have the same, because it goes like the psychology of the masses, right? So they don't want to be the one person differentiating from
So
the
ironically, I read
echo chambers. Yes.
the recent piece, McKinsey and World Economic Forum, I think, put it out jointly. And I was like, oh, this sounds exciting. This sounds good. The thing we need to protect the most, that will be the most valuable for all of us moving forward, is brain health. Brain health. Like this was a big study and a big headline. And I read it like expecting to see something interesting or different. Wait, so we need to protect our ability to think. That's going to be the most valuable skill of the future. We've done this to ourselves. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I'm reading another headline that's not really a headline. We need to be able to think critically, ask questions, not accept everything at face value, protect our relational skill. Like, why is this a headline? This is what kills me. We're literally introducing a tool to the masses that could erode the very thing we need to protect. Like it's like a chicken and egg conundrum. I don't know how to. And this is a huge study we need to understand. Didn't we already know that we have brains to be used for a reason? I don't know. It's frustrating.
No, it really is. And I made a post about this the other day, that the CEO of NVIDIA was asked, who you think is the smartest person you've ever met. And he said, it's probably not who you think. And he talked a lot about the importance of EQ, and how the same thing that engineers created is the same thing that will take away their jobs. And yesterday, I had a conversation with a bunch of solution engineers, and they asked me, do you think our job is at risk? And I said, your job is at risk if you don't develop EQ, because at the end of the day, these relationship skills is what will make you successful as a seller, and what will help the company you're working for retain the clients and increase revenue at the end of the day, which is what they care about. And they understood, and they're getting to a point where they're accepting that reality. Because for people like you and I and Jason, Bob, maybe that was a reality that we all knew, that EQ and these skills are so important. But there was a big portion of the population that thought success meant just technical skills. So,
Yeah.
what's obvious sometimes is not that obvious to all. And I think now they're all faced, with that reality, and they understand that they're getting scared. Like when I talk to engineers and they use Claude and they can do everything from their phone while, going on a walk, they're feeling the pressure. So we're at that inflection point where if people don't take this seriously and they don't hear what HR folks have been saying for so many years, and we don't build tools that can help them, like it cannot be only tools created from engineers that we consume. It has to be a collaboration between non-technical and technical founders that lead to solutions that actually can have an impact in the workplace. Or else what ends up happening is what is happening right now, which is we're trying to undo what has been done by trying to put guardrails, etc., etc. But that's why, go back to my initial point, I'm super adamant about that if more women built in AI, a lot of these things would have already been taken care of, because the way we pursue things is differently. And it doesn't mean, I'm not saying at all we only need the women-led companies, but we need representation from the beginning, not after the fact.
Yes. Yes.
Love that. Love that. Love that.
That's what,
Bob?
honestly, some of the
I was going to ask if Bob wanted to comment, Jess. Sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, I just wanted to share just in terms of education. So my daughter, this time next week, my daughter will know where she's going to college next year. And while she's looking at, the vibe and the dorms and the classes and whatever, I'm looking at what's going on with AI at these schools, right? I want to know how, not just if, but how they're embedding AI literacy into their coursework. Is it getting embedded into each course of study, each major? Is it this sort of shared service that is then distributed to other schools, where sounds like it might be nice in principle, but how effective is that? I mean, I tell my daughter to rolling eyes and being called Unc, like you have to think about this, just like I was expected to know how to use a computer, back in the olden days. She needs to be fluent in AI, and they're digital natives. They're gonna pick this stuff up, but they have to have, Ioanna was talking about this before, like they still have to have the discernment, the critical thinking, and the ability to augment their own creativity and critical thinking and curiosity in how they apply it, and not just take it as a shortcut, certainly not just use it as a Google replacement. I mean, that, my parents might use it that way, but that's not how I expect my daughter to use it. And so how, she's intended to be a communications major. How is AI going to be used ethically and responsibly in research, in content creation, in writing? There are ways to use it, but there are ways you've got to use it where you should, not wherever you can.
And I think that's part of when I get all fired up around like we're not selling this right. I think it's because the initial glamour of AI is around speed and efficiency and automation. So we just automate everything that we can without interrogating it, without interrogating the actual workflow to figure out if that's actually how that should be happening before we just dump it into AI and we just automate at scale. And it's also the speed of decision making without humans sort of again, interrogating, but also the observability of like, how did we get from here to there so fast before we even have a chance to react? And are humans able to override and override with confidence? And do they know? Like, we still need coders to know when to override bad code. And so we're going to miss a lot of that skill development and that ability to question and interrogate and override. That can be built in with governance. And I feel like that's part of the catch-up game we're playing right now. We're seeing what happens when we let so much go so fast and we can't grab it back fast enough, and we're going to make mistakes, and we're going to catch errors, and we're going to do harm we didn't intend. That's a little bit of the slow down to go fast moment I think we need to have right now.
It is, and I have this discussion a lot of times with founders and investors, and unfortunately, it's easier said than done, right? Because it's such a systemic and a global problem. It's not an individual's choice to say, or a company's choice. It has to come as a collective, and it becomes almost impossible. That's why the selection of the people working in these teams that are developing is an easier choice than to say, okay, everybody, let's take some time off to reflect and think. And when your competitors is going crazy, posting things, and you feel FOMO, that's the world we live in. Like, social media makes it impossible for us to slow down. And that's why when it comes to the individual contributors and even students, like Bob, for your daughter, it's a beautiful thing. They can take control over their development and not have to wait for a company to do that coaching necessarily for them. And the reality is it's becoming harder and harder for junior people to find roles. So unless they do develop themselves on their own, they don't put themselves in a position of power. So whether they like it or not, they have to really step it up.
So Ioanna, one of the things I love about your solution, from what I understand, you use, the thing about AI coaching is the ability to practice, and that has to do with psychological safety.
Yes.
So these tools are really, really powerful, because a literal coaching tool is creating safe space, psychological safety for experimentation, for refinement, for skill development. Do you want to, just with the few minutes we have left, I think that's a really, really important connection to make. In terms of getting more people on board in ways that they value, in ways that
Such a
they
great question. Yep.
Yeah, I tell people all the time. They ask me, they say, okay, you're young and stuff. Like, how did you get the confidence to do what you're doing? You started at 24, blah, blah, blah. Like, confidence does not just appear. Confidence is the result of practice. Like, I've been doing things since I was 15. Like, I haven't just suddenly, woken up and said, let me do a company. And that is for any skill. Really, practice makes perfect, and the ability to have a safe space as an employee where you can practice your pitch, whether you're talking to a client or as a manager, practice an intentional conversation with your colleagues, get feedback, reflect, do it again and again till you see that improvement. That's amazing, because the journey, that confidence boost, is what gets you to realize your value. When you realize your value, then you do better in your performance review, then you can lead your team better. It all comes as a chain, but it starts because you see that your own skills are improving. And that would not happen unless you know where you stand. And you can't wait for a 360 or a quarterly performance review to know where you stand. You have to do this daily in your workflow. And that's the other thing I love about what we do, is that we're so embedded in the day-to-day through the extension and like working in calendar and LinkedIn, because that's how information becomes sticky. I'm coming from the L&D space. I don't think anybody cares for another 2-hour workshop or online course. They care about actionable feedback, fully personalized in their day-to-day based on what's their KPI and what meeting they have next. And once you embed in that, that's when you create a learning culture that yields results, and the individual sees that they're coachable and that there is actually an outcome, like their call went better. And now that makes them want to go back. So to connect it with the initial discussion you had with Bob about how easy it is to build tools, it's very easy to build tools, but it's extremely hard to make sticky tools that drive revenue, that people love and use daily, and that they're built with psychology and a user experience in mind that actually works. So I'm not afraid of the fact that there is a lot of tools out there, but I'm afraid that people don't look for the right things when they're making purchasing decisions, that then will not translate to results. And that's what happened looking back with LMS. The fact that your entire company took an LMS course and completed a certificate doesn't mean that it led to skills.
Love that.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Thank you so much for joining us. This was a really, really fun conversation. I'm so happy that you're building, Ioanna, and you're in the space and you've got like real success with, real use cases. That's the stuff that we need to see because there's so much still to come and people need to see how to make this real and to impact everyday people. So thank you.
And thank you for creating this space for all of us to connect. Really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much for being here. And Bob, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. And
Thanks,
hope
guys.
to see you guys live, like human live, really, really soon. I hope everyone has a great weekend. Enjoy the last day or so of February. And we'll see you in March. March
Oh,
is going to be big.
I
Big.
love it.
Bye bye.
Just 'cause it's my birthday. Have a good weekend, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.